Is the Samsung Galaxy Note 9 worth buying in 2022? Well, in this video, we're gonna find out. Hi everyone, this is Kevin here, and this is the Samsung Galaxy Note 9. Now this device was launched in August of 2018, so at this point, it's a relatively old device. That being said though, the biggest question is, should you go for an older, high-end phone or buy a newer, freshly launched, lower-end device that would probably be about the same price? Now, I don't know the full answers to that because it really depends on what you value with your devices and what features are most important to you. But I figured this video would be pretty interesting as it'll give you a chance to really see how the Note 9 is holding up at this point. Now, of course, the Note 9, to my understanding, isn't really being sold brand new anymore. So if you do want to get one, you're gonna have to find one that's renewed, refurbished, or used, and I will be linking to that in the video description below. So definitely feel free to take a look for yourself. But that being said though, this phone was sold on a variety of different carriers, and of course was also offered factory unlocked by Samsung directly. Now with the Samsung Galaxy Note 9, we're getting a 6.4-inch display. So a very large display, and it does feature Corning Gorilla Glass 5. So a more premium glass on this device, making it a bit more durable than maybe some lower end smartphones that are even sold to this day. Now the actual display itself features Super AMOLED technology. It is a 1440p display, so very high resolution. We're getting a PPI of 516, an 18.5:9 aspect ratio, so not quite as tall and narrow as some of the more modern devices that have been launched in the last year or so. But even then, of course, it is a very large display and really is the ideal canvas paired up with the S Pen that I'll be showing you in a bit. So an 18.5:9 display, and we're getting an 83.4% screen to body ratio. So in general, also a pretty decent screen to body ratio, which is pretty impressive considering that there is no hole punch for a front facing camera or even a notch of any sort with this phone. We of course do have thicker bezels in the bottom and top of the device, but in comparison to how big of a display we're getting, the bezels really aren't very thick at all. So in general, I think this phone still has a good looking modern design, even though we're now in 2022. Now, as far as the front camera goes, we have an 8 megapixel front facing camera, and also up here is the dedicated iris scanner. So you can use an iris scanner to access the device. Unfortunately, Samsung no longer sells any brand new phones that have an iris scanner. So if that is a feature that you want, several other devices from this era from Samsung also have that. Kind of interesting that it's no longer there. I'm curious though if that's a feature that you wish Samsung would bring back to some of their newer devices. Definitely curious to know. But with this particular version of the Samsung Galaxy Note 9, we're getting 128 gigabytes of internal storage, and we're also getting micro SD card expansion, which is pretty awesome. Now this phone does feature wireless charging, which is great. I'm a big fan of wireless charging. I use it all the time. And as far as other methods beyond the iris scanner to unlock the phone, we have face unlock via the front-facing camera, and then we also have a fingerprint sensor on the back of the device. So we'll give that a try right now. Very quick. One more time. There we go. Now, similar to some other Samsung phones that launched in the same year or so around this device, the fingerprint sensor is pretty close to the camera module, which I really don't prefer having it right there. If you're reaching for the fingerprint sensor, it is pretty easy to accidentally smudge the camera, and if you do that, you might not be able to take the best photos possible from this phone. So I do wish the fingerprint sensor was a little bit lower, but I'm at least glad that the fingerprint sensor at least is accurate and responsive. And you can see here in the biometrics and security settings, we have facial recognition, the iris scanner, and then the fingerprint scanner. So again, really cool that we do have so many different options and methods for getting into the phone. Now I already talked a little bit about the front-facing camera here, which again is 8 megapixels, but then on the back of the phone, we actually have dual 12 megapixel cameras. So there's the main camera, and then we have a 12 megapixel 2x telephoto camera. So pretty cool if you do want to zoom in on things. Now this phone does not have an ultra wide angle camera, which is a bit unfortunate as that is a feature that I do like to have. But that being said, we do at least have portrait mode here with the phone, and I'll show you what all that looks like in the camera app right now. So here's the front facing camera, of course. And then from here, we can also switch over to the wide selfie mode, which is great for group selfies. And then we can go over to the More tab, and we can find live focus right there. And that will blur out the backgrounds, which is pretty cool. I'm gonna take a picture right now. Cool. And there we go. blurred out backgrounds. So pretty awesome there. And then of course we can switch around to the rear camera on the phone. We can do the same thing here. We can go over to live focus. That's one of many different options available in the More tab. We also have, of course, regular photos, and then you can zoom in here for that 2x optical zoom using the telephoto camera. And then going over to video, we can go over to the settings here, and you can see for rear videos, you can take UHD videos, which is pretty cool. We also get 4K front-facing videos, and then there also is a pro video size, kind of interesting there. So the point is there's a lot of different options when it comes to taking photos and videos here with the phone, and certainly compared to a device that you might buy that's brand new but lower end, you are going to be getting a lot of different, unique camera features with this device that you might not be able to find with a lower end phone that's even brand new at this point. Now with the Samsung Galaxy Note 9, at least for this particular version of the phone, I'm not sure if it's the case for every single Note 9 that was ever created, but we're getting 6 gigabytes of RAM and the Qualcomm Snapdragon 845 processor. So in general, still a pretty good combination there. Of course, not nearly as fast as some of the more modern flagship Snapdragon processors from Qualcomm, but it still does run nice and smoothly here. I did run a Geekbench 5 benchmark test as well with the phone, and I'll show you the scores from that test right now. But essentially, I got a single core score of 510 and a multi-core score of 2186. So what I recommend doing is running this test on your current phone, and then compare your scores to these scores to get a better idea of whether or not it's a performance upgrade for you. Now, as far as battery capacity goes, we're getting a 4,000 milliamp hour internal battery with the phone, which is pretty big. In general, though, I wouldn't say it's quite as large of a battery as maybe we would ideally want at this point, considering how large this phone is and how big of a display it has. But at least we do have 15-watt fast charging, so you can recharge it pretty quickly. Another cool thing too about the Note 9 is that it does feature an IP68 dust and water resistance rating, which allows the phone to go underwater for up to 1.5 meters for 30 minutes. So I certainly wouldn't purposely go swimming with the phone, but if you do happen to drop it in the water by accident, then at least you most likely will be okay. Another cool thing about this device too is that it does feature Samsung Pay, so if you do like to make mobile contactless payments, you will be able to do that here with your Samsung Galaxy Note 9. Now that we've gone over a variety of the various highlights here about the phone, let's take a closer look at the hardware. So like I mentioned before, we don't have a notch or a hole punch for the front-facing camera, but instead we have relatively small bezels all throughout, which does give the phone a pretty good looking appearance. And nowadays, you don't really see devices that look quite like this one. Another thing too is that the display does have a little bit of a curve to it. I'm not totally a huge fan of that, but you do have that here, so it's worth considering. And then all throughout, we have very premium build materials. We have a metal band running around the sides of the phone. We have glass on the back, and of course glass on the front of the device as well. Now taking a look at the left side of the phone, we have volume up, volume down. We have a dedicated Bixby button that I'm not really a huge fan of. Then on the right side of the phone, we have the power button. Then up top here, we have the slot for the micro SD card and SIM card, and the noise canceling microphone. And then on the bottom of the device, we have the 3.5mm headphone jack, USB-C port for charging and data transfer, microphone, speaker, and of course, the signature feature, the stylus. Now, I'll get to that in 1 second. I just want to show you the back of the phone. Kind of saw it already, but again, big fan of this blue color, looks super sharp. It does pick up quite a few fingerprints, but we have a dual camera setup. We have a heart rate sensor right there, flash, fingerprint sensor, Samsung logo, and Galaxy Note 9 word mark. But again, getting to the part that I'm sure you are most excited for, and that is the stylus. So the stylus does feature a punch out, punch in design here, which does make it very easy to use. I'm a big fan of this yellow color, kind of reminds me of some sort of old school pencil. We have a button on the top of the stylus as well, which is pretty cool. And as you probably noticed already, when you initially take the stylus out of the phone, you immediately get this screen right here where you can write a note. So there we go. You can draw. So it is a cool way to write notes, do different doodles. Definitely comes in handy there. And what's awesome as well is that since the Note series has been around for so long, there actually are quite a few third-party applications in the Play Store that are compatible with a stylus. So not only do you have Samsung's suite of applications that are pre-installed here to use, such as rectangle, oval, GIF animation, there's a lot of different features here involving the stylus, but again, you can just go to the Play Store and look up other different apps to use with it, and there's a whole ecosystem of different apps available that will be compatible with the stylus, so you can really make the most of it. And of course, there are so many different things you can do with this, more than I can really include in this video here, but there are a lot of other videos from other great content creators really diving into all the various features that allow you to get the most out of your Samsung Galaxy Note 9. But this is the Samsung Galaxy Note 9 in 2022. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, definitely give it a thumbs up. Let me know what other videos you'd like to see me do here on the channel, but this is Kevin, and I will see you in the next one.